Hello again, guys. This is Owen. Just going over a few things about our last assignment. Well, next to last assignment, we have a little thing I'm going to have you do on highly reliable organizations too, as well. But in 2 weeks, on May 10th, your editorial will be due. And so we have worked on understanding and reviewing an editorial and what is proper for an editorial when it comes to understanding how they're supposed to be written, that they're just not rants. And so now you have to actually write one. So this does meet SLO number one, where we're talking about professional writing. So that's one of the actually learning outcomes not mentioned here, but that's what it does parallel itself with our student learning objectives for the course and for the respiratory care department. So we do have a nice little purpose statement here. I'll have you read through that. Learning activities. Big key here again, remember we have editorials that explain, we have editorials that evaluate, and editorials that persuade. And so you're going to have to figure out when you write your editorial about a particular subject matter, which one of these three is it going to work towards? Are you going to write one that explains? Are you going to write one that evaluates? Or are you going to write one that persuades? So remember that in your editorial, you're going to have to not only kind of let us know what you're going to do by give us a gauge of, is it going to explain or persuade or evaluate, but we have to have background information. We have to understand your stance on the position. It should be pretty clear. Reasons why you're supporting this position. So this can be a couple of different ways. It can be you've read an article, and man, this person is just spot on. They know everything about end-tidal CO2. And you definitely have opinions about end-tidal CO2. And so you're thinking, okay, I'm going to write an editorial on end-tidal CO2. And this person gives some pretty concrete evidence, at least three things. It doesn't have to be limited to three. You got to have at least three things that kind of supports your thesis, your idea of why end-tidal CO2 is the next best thing to flush toilets and slice bread. And so you got to have three. Or you can bring in a couple of support articles that support your thesis. Your thesis is what the whole thing is stemmed off of. I feel end-tidal CO2, or not I feel, excuse me, not I feel. End-tidal CO2 is the next best thing next to flush toilets and sliced bread. And you happen to have an article that says, hey, we have flush toilets, we have sliced bread, and man, this end-tidal CO2, it's the best thing. So you kind of get what I'm saying here. So you're looking for things that support your thesis, because that's really what's going to be, it's going to give you your cred. And so you need to have that available. Okay, as hard as this seems, if there are some people out there that have some pretty good evidence to say, well, end-tidal, we have flush toilets and we have sliced bread, and it's not the best thing since that. There's things that are fraught with error with this. You're going to have to make mention about this. And so you're going to have to play nice with the opposing side. At least, you don't have to completely defend their side, but you're going to have to make mention that there are concerns. And so this is when you bring in the opposition. So you're going to have to do a little research and see if end-tidal CO2 truly is the next best thing next to flush toilets and sliced bread. And then the conclusion. So the conclusion needs to, you kind of want to reiterate your thesis in there. You want to provide some solutions to the problem at hand, or continued support to your thesis in that conclusion, okay? So our timeline, April 25th, we start. I was going to launch tonight on the 21st. Sorry, it's a little late. But I'm doing it actually early for you guys, so you get a little bit of a run-in for you night owls. May 3rd, I need the type of editorial and thesis statement that you're going to, I need the type of editorial that you're going to work this within this context. So, and then I'm also going to need you to see your thesis statement. What are you trying to prove? And make sure that gets to me by 11:55 MST, okay, on May 3rd. So that's a Thursday. Then May 10th, which is finals week, the editorial's due. And so that too is 11:55 posting time. Now we also are going to do a little peer review posting. You're going to post your editorial to the discussion board, and I'll have that all set up and ready to go early that week, because I know some of you like to turn this in a little bit earlier, like your Monday. I got a Monday crowd, a Tuesday crowd, and a Wednesday crowd. So I should have that thing open. Now, don't panic if other folks get it in early. It's okay. But I'm just saying that that'll be available to you. Okay, so at the beginning of the week. Remember, please label it with your last name, ED for editorial, RC443, which is the class. Oh, this is 2017. Sorry, guys. That should be 2019. So real-time corrections here. And paper formatting requirements, title upper left-hand corner, your name, course, and date. I do kind of have a rough outline of what the editorial should look like here for you. And so as long as you're filling it in and it's your work, this should suffice. So 12-point Arial, New Times Roman, kind of like everything else we've been doing, guys. APA format. So article sources, make sure they're reputable, that they're peer-reviewed articles. Chest, JAMA, New England Journal of Medicine. Respiratory care is good too as well. And it has to be anything 3 years from January 2019, which is our start time for roughly start semester for our class. And then here's kind of what the design looks. So your name, your class, your date, the background information you're going to put in here, your stance. Again, what is the main point you're trying to express? So this is your thesis in this section. You're going to tell me about what you're trying to do. And then I just gave it as an example as if I were using support articles for my 3 points that were supporting my thesis. But if you've read an article and you think this person is the bee's knees and there are 3 well-supported points from that article, then this is where you would put these 3 well-supported points. Now, remember, I want complete paragraphs here, guys. This should be a well-crafted, and we should be able to publish this paper by the time it's all said and done, once we remove all the fonting and kind of create some transition sentences. You should have a thesis or you should have an editorial that's publishable by the end of this whole thing. So the conclusion, again, this is where you offer solutions to the issue arising from the topic. These should fit into your overall stance about the topic. It's a good point to kind of drive home what your main thesis is yet again in that conclusion. The reference page, oh shoot, thought I changed all that, sorry, APA. Real-time solutions for real-time problems here, guys. Okay, APA for that. Okay, so let me go over a few things about paper components and what it really should look like. So thesis statements. They are a direct statement. Okay, this is like, I believe in this. Again, that flush toilet example, right? And it's the question which the paper must answer. Okay, so these are typically 1 to 2 sentences long. If the thesis statement is a paragraph, you've missed the point. Okay, so I give an example. I like baseball, so I'm going to make this easy on you. So I always look at it as a question that I'm trying to solve. Do curveballs have a 12-6 drop? So they're on a clock. When you throw the curveball, it should go from the 12 o'clock position to the 6 o'clock position, and that's what makes it so darn hard to hit. So do they have 12-6 drop? So I'm going to write a thesis that says, yes, they do. They must have this. So this editorial will discuss why all curveballs must, notice the language, must have a 12-6 drop. And so then I'm going to use everything I can to prove my point. And I'm going to try to, in this one, persuade you why a curveball must have a 12-6 drop. Okay? The introductory paragraph, this paragraph sets up the paper. Supported paragraphs, so these are your article paragraphs or your proof from the one article that you're using to support your thesis. Guys, paragraphs are 4 to 5 sentences long. They have an introductory and a conclusion, and then you have transition paragraphs that introduce you into the next paragraph. So you guys got to include all this stuff, okay? This is a complete paper, so let's make sure we're doing that. Topic sentences, concluding paragraphs. This thing needs to be well connected. Yes, we're using headers to separate it out. And the reason why I do this is when I don't, I get 10 pages of fluff. So the headers, make sure you're staying on point. You keep everything in the correct format for the paper. but make sure between those headers that that looks like a paper, that we have defined paragraphs, we have topic sentences, we have concluding sentences. If we're going between paragraphs, we have transitional sentences that move us from one paragraph to another. This is, again, professional writing. We need to be able to do this. So I've left some key points here for you to review. I hope you enjoy them. It's a pleasure talking with you guys. Take care. Have a great time writing your editorial. I can't wait to read them, guys, okay? Take care. Good night.